You are being called to live in peace, on purpose, with passion and prosperity. But you can't do that if you haven't unlearned the crap. The crap that is disempowering you. The crap of conditioned responses and automatic programming. And that's what we're here to do. So that you can level up because you know your soul is calling. Welcome to Unlearn the Crap and Level Up TV with your host, Kathy Baldwin. Hi, welcome to Unlearn the Crap and Level Up Beyond the Interview. My name is Kathy Baldwin. I am your host. Today, I want to reflect back on one of the interviews that I absolutely loved. Catherine Traff had been working within the neuroscience industry, helping doctors have neurosurgeries by helping them with technology and equipment that she was an expert in. And so she learned hands on everything about how the brain works, how our neurons fire, how beliefs are created, all these amazing things that I have been studying for, the majority of my life. And so to have this conversation with her, where she had the science and she had seen firsthand in the operating room, working with how amazing our brains are. We had a conversation where we talked about her issue with gray zone drinking. And the one thing that really caught my attention was very similar to Pavlov's dog experiment. I don't know if you remember hearing about this experiment, but what happened was whenever they were going to feed Pavlov's dog, they would ring a bell. And eventually it got to the point where the sound of the bell would make the dog salivate because the brain had connected the bell with food. And so it started all of these chemical processes and the autopilot that I talk about all the time. What she did was when she talked about the gray zone drinking habit that she had, she realized that the very act of just pulling out that bottle of wine immediately set off those autopilot programs, which is what Unlearn the Crap is about. So she didn't even need to open it. She didn't need to pour it. She didn't need to drink it in order for that whole cascade process to start. And I'd never put automatic programming the way I do with Unlearning the Crap, the same with habits like drinking too much or smoking or shopping or any of these other addictive habits that we have. And so I loved having this conversation where we talked about how gray zone was the space where it wasn't healthy, but it wasn't totally destructive yet either. It was that space in the middle, that space where we could pretend that everything was okay, that we weren't having a problem, and that we could whitewash these destructive behaviors. The thing is, when we have these gray zone areas, our body doesn't know it's a gray zone. Our body still has those chemical responses. That dopamine gets released if immediately. And if we don't have it, it becomes a stressor because that program says this is supposed to happen after that. And if it doesn't happen, our central nervous system is immediately triggered off and we're put into a danger zone. Because remember, our brain always, always must be right. It doesn't have to be healthy. It doesn't have to be what is best for us. It doesn't need to be aligned with our dreams. It doesn't need to do anything other than be right. So when we have a program that is connected to a gray zone habit, somewhere where we are not getting the best of ourselves, what happens is we're now creating a stress loop that is keeping us trapped in this habit. And when we are doing something repeatedly, eventually it's going to have a physical effect. I like this example. So many times we could be driving a car through a dangerous, sorry, we could be driving a car in salt filled roads during the winter, and nothing will happen physically to our naked eye, to the body of that car. But eventually, that salt is going to erode, and we are going to start to have holes and rust in our vehicle. And so we may think, oh, I've been doing this for so long, nothing bad has happened. I should be able to do this because nothing is wrong. We're not seeing the unseen effects of those gray zone areas. What we are experiencing are the habits that happen, the routines that we're creating. Our brain and our world will start to shrink to the size of that autopilot if we don't look at it and challenge it. It becomes a coping mechanism. I know for me, I have the same gray zone drinking issue. What have I done about it? I've stopped drinking because my body got to the point where I was really suffering. See, I like the taste of wine. I like the feeling that I get when I have two, three, four glasses of wine. I enjoy the conversations that I have. I enjoy that after work sitting and enjoying a nice glass of wine. I really like it. But I have been doing it for so long because I grew up in a time and a place where after work, that's what everyone did. You poured yourself a drink, maybe you grabbed something to read, or you had a conversation or whatever, but it included that after work drink. And that was how I had been programmed to believe this is what we do. And so it wasn't until my body started to suffer, my inflammation got greater, that my sleep deteriorated. All of these physical things were happening. I couldn't lose any weight, no matter how hard I tried, as long as I was drinking wine. And so it wasn't until I stopped doing that I could see, here we are with cause and effect again. Now, I had unlearned my crap and healed my fibromyalgia, but I still had in my brain that this was okay. I'm curious, what gray zone habits do you have that they're not necessarily disempowering, but they're not empowering? They make you feel good in the moment, but there's really no other good value. Do you shop when you are in that stress moment and you need to feel good? Are you having too much sex? Are you overeating? Are you doom scrolling? Are you doing anything in that gray zone that, if left unchecked, it won't stay gray? It will go dark. And at this point, you are now going to have long term serious consequences. What if we could take a look at those gray zone areas before they turn into massive loops, massive auto programming that our brain is doing? What if we could take a look at these gray zone areas and make conscious choices? Does this work for me or does it not? Is it empowering or is it not? Because it really doesn't matter what we're talking about. When we're dealing with universal laws of cause and effect, it's either working for you now or it's not. And that choice changes day to day, season to season, as we grow, as we evolve, as our life changes. What worked for us when we were younger, before we knew better, before we had experiences that told us new things about us, can easily become disempowering. The way the brain keeps us safe during moments of trauma or stress works in the moment to keep us alive. But when it turns gray and eventually dark, we now are being disempowered by the very thing that started out as something to save us. I want you to check out the interview with Catherine Traff. I'll link it in this. She talked about so many amazing things about the way the brain works and how empowering we are when we can take the control. Like I said, my Unlearn the Crap and Level Up book and how I unlearned my crap was accumulation of knowledge that I had gained over these years. But Catherine brought a real medical science perspective, a proof, scientific proof of everything that I had learned. She brought in that experience, and we had a fantastic conversation. I encourage you to watch the full podcast or listen, depending on where you find Unlearn the Crap. And I'm asking you to really take a look at what your gray zone areas are. Are they working for you? Are you willing to disrupt the pattern? Are you willing to be a little uncomfortable when you break a pattern? Because your brain will fight to keep you in the place that it knows already works for you according to the way your brain works. I want you to know that you are not helpless, you are not lazy. It is all auto programming, and even gray zone or dark zones can be changed by your decision and your consequential actions. You have the power to change any and every aspect of your life. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Catherine, and I'd love to hear your feedback and your comments. Until next time, where we'll look at behind the scenes of another one of the fantastic Unlearn the Crap and Level Up podcast interviews. I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me on this episode of The Unlearning Curve. I hope you enjoyed it. If something landed for you today, make sure to follow, like, comment, and share, and check out all the other full interviews and other episodes of Unlearn the Crap and Level Up podcast, where you'll find deeper conversations, expert guests, and real stories from people just like you who are unlearning their crap and choosing clarity. Visit me at kathybaldwin.me and get all my free resources. Check out my coaching programs as well as my books. Until next time, keep showing up, keep unlearning, and keep leveling up because your soul is calling.